It's good to see that the videos were so compelling. No one has any questions. Oh, exciting.
Hold on, Jay.
I will. I'm bracing myself. Do not worry. So difference between chaser and beta fitness training. For me, the sport doesn't seem to have a firm grip for what it sees as a stereotypical beta, which I think is a very good thing. I think chasing, especially in Europe, has fallen into, the big driver versus the fast one who catches. And I think that's an easy one to train for. Beta wise, I think sprint training that has a specific training dedicated to a high recovery rate is really important. If you watch a lot of betas playing, there's not a great deal of like general jogging. It's going from holding a zone to a quick sprint to cover space into making a throw. So I think prioritizing the ability to be able to sprint, go straight into your throwing form or your throwing action, and then recover quickly is vitally important. If you watch any game, the beaters do a lot more high intensity sprinting than the majority of quaffle players. So I think that's definitely something you can make your point of difference, is not only being able to sprint and immediately going into your throwing form and your throwing action, but also being able to recover to do that again. Because especially during snitch on pitch, if the snitch is a mobile snitch, you're going to be covering a lot of ground to both, hold your position in a bubble around the snitch, as well as keep off the other seeker and their beaters. So having that sprint into a high recovery rate, I think, is really important for your training that perhaps quaffle players don't quite need as much, because they have a lot more downtime that they can allow their body to recover to its normal breathing rate naturally. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please elaborate. Oh, here we go. How do you think an injury affects someone? Please, coach. Erin, would you like to go first, or shall I go first?
Sure. I mean, my first thought about that is that if you are a coach who likes to get involved in drills and you are injured in a way that's going to prevent you from doing that, it's time to turn your focus of your coaching to the fact that you have this great opportunity to focus on how to communicate effectively in the way that you're explaining things, rather than showing people by doing. So definitely, I think that coaches and like anyone who's in a leadership role on a team, but like particularly coaches, there can be that sort of like do as I say, not as I do approach to injury recovery, where like you as the like players on the team, you need to fully recover, but like I'm good, I know my body, like that's different. And I think that, yeah, so this is an opportunity for you to learn how to communicate things rather than showing, and also to like acknowledge that as a coach, like your injury recovery is something that like people are looking to you to see how you're doing it. So you need to be a model of doing it safely.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Erin said there. I also think when you're a coach, injury gives you a lot of perspective to empower other people in your team. A lot of Quidditch leaders, especially when you start off, think that it sort of goes captain, coach, everything, big gap, the team. And when you're injured, it's a great time to empower some other players and to show off their leadership capabilities and to be trusted members within your club, because you can then say, instead of going, right, we're going to do this, I'm going to demonstrate it, look how amazing I am, you can say, we're going to do this, I'm going to ask X and Y to volunteer because they've been making really good progress lately. And then other players get a chance to showcase. And it's also a way that, if your players are unsure who the other leaders are, that very quickly points them out and can turn your injury into being a positive. Are there any other questions? Do you want to go or shall I?
You can start. I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I think that this is really tough, and I've definitely been that stubborn player. I think it depends on the relationship you have with someone. So I think from a friend, this can be hard, but you sort of have to make it very clear that it's in this person's best interest, not just for the short term, but for the rest of their life. That they recover effectively. I think far too many people, including myself, have long-term injuries from not being sensible. And if you are a coach, it is refusing to let that person train. I think that you have to have the hardline stance of saying, I'm really sorry. I care about you as a friend. What you do outside of our trainings, that's on you. But while you're in this space, you're not going to be allowed to train. And as soon as you say that, hopefully as the coach, you have the respect and authority of your team and your peers. They should back you up on that. And that can be really tough, especially when it's a friend, or if you're a coach that maybe doesn't enjoy, those difficult conversations. But you do have to be hardline and say, it's in your best interests that you don't train with us. The same way that you'd step in to get a bit deep, if someone was struggling because they were drinking too much or eating too much, or, they had an issue with drugs. Okay, it's your duty of care while they're at your training to step in and say, I'm really sorry, but for you to be happy, healthy, and, move forward, I'm going to have to step in.
Yeah. And I would also add to that, I think it's important to, like, at a certain point, you need to take that hard line, but make it you cannot do X training, but you can do this other thing. So help me run the drills, help me take notes on the players in your position, incorporating them into other parts of it so that they can see that they can still be a part of the team, even if they're not doing that particular drill or training that particular day. In the last panel that I was on, I was sort of talking about this, the Goldilocks zone of your approach to this, which is where you don't want to be so restrictive and so hardline that players are going to start hiding injuries from you, because I think that can be a dangerous thing as well. You also don't want to be so permissive that you're allowing them to hurt themselves. So you want to be in this zone in the middle where they feel safe coming to you about their injuries, knowing that it's going to be a conversation about what it is that they can actually do, so that it's not an all the way yes, it's not an all the way no, it's a just right in the middle.
And that is our time, guys. Thank you so much, Jay and Aaron, for the wonderful information. And if you guys have any more questions, you can throw them in the Slack. I did post those 3 questions that you guys asked, but to further the conversation, go ahead and hit up the Slack. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.